Alright, find all the pairs of similar rectangles in the set below. For each pair you find, give the scale factor from one of the rectangles to the other. There's a lot of shapes here and you got to compare a lot of different shapes. So I would suggest that you find out some sort of pattern to check them all. Like I would check A against all of them. Like A against D, A against E, then A against F. And then B against all of them. And then C against the rest. And then D against the rest. And then the last two to compare is E and F. A lot of these are going to be quick and easy to eliminate. Once you have them on your homework, you write down what you have and also what the scale factor is. It says find all of them. Alright, in investigation 3, we touched on how some of the shapes could sometimes be flipped. Now you're expected to know that, where we just touched on it in the previous investigation. Basically, all you have to worry about with that is just make sure you always compare the shortest side to the shortest side in the other shape, and the longest side to the longest side, and it'll always work out for you whether it's similar or not. Alright, so we're going to start with A and B. How do you get from 4 to 2? You divide by 2. How do you get from 6 to 3? You divide by 2. So A is similar to B since you did the same thing to both sides to get the sides over here. So we're going to write rectangles A and B are similar, and the scale factor from one to the other, we'll just pick from A to B since that's the direction we went. And since we divided by 2, dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by a half. So you can see I have my name, date, periods, the assignment, and number 1, I put rectangle A to rectangle B. The scale factor is 1/2. Alright, looking at A and C, these two numbers are different. These two numbers are the same, so that's a square, therefore they're not similar. Alright, how do you get from, now we're going to A to D. How do you get from 4 to 1? Divide by 4. How do you get from 6 to 7? It's definitely not divide by 4, so those don't work. Now A to E, 4 to 2, you're dividing by 2. 6 divided by 2 is not 8, so those don't work. A to F, these two numbers are different, those two are the same. So the only ones that worked for A was B, so A to B worked. Now we're going to test B. B to C, these two numbers are different, these two are the same, so that doesn't work. B to D, 2 to 1, we're dividing by 2. 3 divided by 2 is not 7, so those won't work. B to E, 2 and 2 are the same, so 3 and this should be the same, but it's not. So B and E don't work. These two numbers are different, these two numbers are the same, so B and F don't work. Moving on to C. C compared to D, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is not 7. Another way is we can look at it, see these two numbers are the same, these two numbers are different, those don't work. These two numbers are the same, these two numbers are the same. So C to F does work. Alright, so we know that rectangle C to rectangle F works. We just got to figure out the scale factor. One side of the square was 3 in rectangle C, and a side in F was 2. So we had to figure out 3 times what got us to 2. So we got to figure out how to do that. What I have here is the same thing as this. I just condensed it. This is the same thing as saying 3 times what equals 2. When you ever have a number smushed against a letter, it means multiply. So 3 times what is 2. To figure that out, we have to get A by itself somehow. Right now, A is being multiplied by 3. And to get A by itself, we need to do the opposite. So we need to divide by 3. Alright, so we divided by 3 because they're going to end up canceling out. However, this equal sign is like a seesaw. When you're trying to solve an equation here, to get A by itself, whatever you do to one side of the seesaw, the equal sign, you have to do to the other. So since we divided by 3 over here, we have to divide by 3 over here. So we have to do 2 divided by 3 as well. Alright, so this is what we're left with here. So now, as I said before, these 3's are going to cancel because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1A is the same thing as A. For instance, 1 apple is the same thing as an apple. Alright, so those are going to cancel right there. That leaves us with A equals 2/3. What that means is 3 times 2/3 is 2. So the scale factor from C to F is 2/3. It's okay to keep your work here. It's not a problem to show you work. So if we find any more answers, we'll just put them underneath right down here. Alright, so now we have to check D to E. 1 times 2 is 2. 7 times 2 is not 8. So those don't work. These two numbers are different. Those two are the same. So those won't work. So now all we have to do is check E to F. These two numbers are different. Those two are the same. So E to F won't work. Okay, so we have all our answers for number 1. Then you would just move on to number 2. Obviously, you'd be writing them, or you can type them. That's up to you. But we just finished number 1 on page 47.